We're all guilty of mocking Twilight movies at some point, and apparently, so have the Winchesters. Once again, Supernaturals made fun of the Twilight movies brilliantly. This time, it did it through the Winchester. Even though the last movie came out a decade ago, other Supernatural-based series still poke fun at it from time to time. In this video, we'll discuss how Supernatural brilliantly mocked Twilight again, and 10 times the series went too far. First off, how did they do it? The Winchesters have their take on the Twilight craze, inspired by Supernatural's past joke about it. Dean Winchester is a walking reference to pop culture, so it's not surprising that he knew about the hated Twilight movies. The vampires and werewolves in Supernatural are a lot scarier than the ones in Twilight and My Summer of Blood, a Twilight parody book mentioned in the show. Dean was not impressed by the romanticized, stylish vampires in My Summer of Blood. He said, "These aren't vampires, man. These are douchebags." In Season 1, Episode 5 of The Winchesters, called Legend of a Mind, a young Mary Campbell hunts down and kills a werewolf named Jacob. This clearly references Taylor Lautner's character Jacob Black, who's a teen heartthrob in the Twilight movies. Just like in the movies, things didn't go so well for Team Jacob here either. Up next, this isn't the first time Supernaturals mocked Twilight. Making fun of Twilight's almost a tradition on Supernatural. In the 5th episode of Supernatural's 6th season, Live Free or Twi Hard, Sam and Dean deal with a case that seems to have come straight out of Twilight. Dean's dislike for the movie series was apparent throughout the episode, and nothing was safe. The movie stars, the fact that the vampires in the movie shine, and the obsession with Twilight were all made fun of. The episode made fun of even the relationship between Bella and Edward, which everyone loves. Dean says he's watching her sleep. Why isn't that right? With all of these comments, it's pretty clear what Dean thinks about Twilight. The episode uses the same trick as some of the other episodes, but it also shows that this show still has a lot to say about its characters and life in general. At first glance, it's just a brilliantly clever parody of Stephenie Meyer's Twilight, but then it takes a weird psychotic turn and gets much darker and more enjoyable. The spoof could be better on its own, and the extended opening sequence is a painfully accurate riff on the Twilight series. But when the vampire turns out to be just like every other vampire in the Supernatural universe, it's a great surprise. And the later scene where Sam and Dean go to the girls' room and see the craziness is hilarious. It'll be quoted until the end of time or until the Twi craze dies out, whichever comes first, followed by how a werewolf dies in Supernatural. In Supernatural, every monster has a weakness, and werewolves are no different. In the show, you can't use old weapons for hunting down werewolves. You need silver. A werewolf can be killed with silver bullets, stakes, knives, or even silver injections. The job can also be done with weapons with a lot of power, like the culled and angel blades. Some supernatural beings, like angels, leviathans, and Nephilim, can kill werewolves without silver by using the powers they already have. Since Supernatural and Twilight both became popular around the same time and are about similar things, it makes sense that there was some competition between the two franchises. When supernatural monsters like vampires and werewolves put Sam and Dean's lives in danger every day, it's not surprising that they think the Twilight characters are just like Zac Efron and Justin Bieber, even though the scene in the Winchesters was much sadder than the one in the parody episode of Supernatural. The joke is still clever. Moving on now, let's look at 10 times Supernatural went too far, and why we can't watch it the same way again. Let's start with when Dean microwaved that fairy. By Supernatural standards, the first part of this episode was average. 4 people have gone missing, and many think aliens are to blame. As soon as the brothers start to look into it, Dean sees a UFO and goes after it. Soon after, it turns out the glowing things in the sky were fairies, not UFOs. At one point, a fairy keeps bothering Dean, so he puts the tiny glowing woman in a microwave and turns it on, killing the tiny creature, even though no gory details were shown. Did he really need to microwave her? In the 5th season, Ellen, a character many people had grown to like, died, even though she gave her life to kill a terrible beast. The loss was obvious, so it was a pleasant surprise when she came back in season 7. Ellen's return was sad, but it wouldn't last. The episode's based on a different version of history in which the Titanic didn't sink as planned. Due to the change in history, fate is after the 50,000 descendants of those who should not have survived the Titanic but did. Unfortunately, Ellen is one of these descendants, and Bobby and the audience must watch Ellen die for the 2nd time. Some of us couldn't take the pain at all, not to mention the Supernatural books and Looney Tunes. For a show about weird things, it's not too surprising that the writers are now writing about themselves. Supernatural takes a new turn when Dean and and Sam find a book that's a perfect description of their lives and leads them to a new threat. The problem is that the writers needed more ideas, even though the show was only in its 4th season. Even though the premise is fun, it was strange that the show broke the 4th wall so much and tried so hard not to be too serious. Also, when Castiel tells Sam and Dean he wants to be a hunter like them, the brothers are naturally skeptical. The brothers agree to look into a case Castiel told them about where people are being killed in strange ways, so they can decide if Castiel should join them. As the episode goes on, we see that each victim died in a cartoonish way. When the crew found a dead body at a bank that an anvil had crushed, things got crazy on the show. Even though the idea sounds bad, what was shown was worse. It was more than what was needed. Let's learn more about a Wizard of Oz cameo and the scary clown. Dorothy and the Wicked Witch are in a secret bunker that the brothers find. Instead of killing the witch, Dorothy put herself and the witch in a trap, so the witch couldn't bring Oz into the modern world. As the episode continues, it becomes painfully clear that the plot doesn't make sense. The Wicked Witch takes over people and makes them fight with their friends. For many of us, this ruined our childhood memories of the Wizard of Oz. In another episode, the brothers go to Plucky Pennywhistle's magical menagerie, where strange things happen and people go missing. As Sam and Dean look into what happened, they discover that the kids had drawn their worst fears, which then came to life and killed their parents. Coming up, the musical and Lucifer taking over heaven. As many other shows have done before, the show took on the challenge of turning the episode into a musical. The problem with the musical episode is that the writers took another self-referential point of view by having the brothers find a school putting on a musical about them. It also helped that many fan-favorite characters came back for the episode, which made the whole thing more fun and interesting. It's not surprising that the 13th episode of the 13th season of Supernatural is a big one. To celebrate the episode, Supernatural used big characters and plot points. In Devil's Bargain, people watch Lucifer take control of heaven and force the angels there to do what he wants. We were confused and even upset by this part of the story. Some people were even offended based on their religious beliefs. Finally, a dog as a witness and mocking fans. Some of Supernatural's stories are more silly than others, and Dog Dean Afternoon is one of them. As is often the case on this show, the brothers look into two strange crimes. They quickly find out that the main witness is a dog. Dean's given the power to talk to dogs to get a witness account from them. It makes for some funny parts, but it's a little more than needed to move the story along. At the end of the episode, Dean's spell wears off, and he can no longer understand what the animals are saying. No one will ever know the truth about man's best friend. Supernatural is good at breaking the fourth wall and giving viewers a bigger picture of what's happening. But even though that sometimes works, it doesn't always make us happy. In The Real Ghostbusters, the brothers go to a fan convention, meeting people dressed as themselves from Supernatural. Even though the idea of a convention in Supernatural sounds fun, the writers went way too far when they made fun of the show's fans too much. It might have been meant to be a joke about us, but how the show treated its biggest fans didn't make everyone laugh. And on that note, that's a wrap for this video. What do you think of how Supernatural mocks the Twilight movies? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.